From Trinidad and Albania to real estate, Shaq and Kelly brings you Smart Money Approach.
Hello, guys. Welcome back to the eighth episode of Smart Money Approach. This is your co-host Kelly, and this is
Shaq.
Today we have a very special guest with us. We're about to join him in the call real quick.
Hey, man. How you doing? Please go ahead, introduce yourself to the world, and kind of like tell us a little bit about yourself.
I guess. My name is Brian Koons, and I am 24 years old. I live in San Diego, California right now, and currently stationed over here as a drill instructor in the Marine Corps. So been over here for about a year and a half now, and just bought my first fourplex for $1.2 million, and currently house hacking that and slowly trying to get into the real estate game and kind of transition out of the military game as much. So
I think my ears misheard you, but you said you just bought your first fourplex. And how much did it cost?
It was 1.23 million was the final purchase price.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you said this was your first property, right?
This is, yes. Yeah. So I used the VA loan for it and ended up the whole everything for it, purchase and everything, ended up being where I actually made 600 in all escrow fees and everything like that. And then, it all evened out to where I actually made about $600 at closing. So it's pretty sweet deal.
When did you realize that you wanted to start investing in real estate? Like, how did you come about this deal? Because I think this is like really huge for a first time deal.
Yeah. So as a drill instructor, we get talked to by this one guy. He comes to the school and he gives us just some information about the VA loan and everything. Mm-hmm. And he actually invests himself. So he started talking to us and he had this little presentation. Basically, it was, he called it how to make $100,000 in 3 years while you're stationed here. And it kind of had talked about just some of the very basic things in terms of appreciation in an appreciating market, depreciation from the house, and debt pay down, and just a couple of things like that, and kind of work the numbers to make $100,000 in 3 years and stuff. And what I got out of that was I just was super interested about real estate being this that I'm making a few years in the military. So yeah, I started reading some books and everything like that intermittently. And this was right when I got to San Diego. So a little over a year now, almost a year and a half. And so I started looking at it, started reading some books from Bigger Pockets, and just learning as much as I could intermittently in between cycles where being a drill instructor isn't exactly the job that you have the most time at. So that's kind of what got me started looking at it. And then with coronavirus, it ended up they kicked all of the sergeants off base, because I'm a sergeant right now. Kicked all the sergeants off base because they needed those bricks to house the recruits who were getting quarantined. So they're all the sergeants go find somewhere to live, and they gave us VA8. So I took that as this is the time, this is it. And so I started looking, at that point I started taking it a little more seriously and reaching out to agents and lenders and that whole process, and started looking and running deals and stuff, and just found one that worked, made an offer, and kind of it went really smoothly, surprisingly, from there. So
wow. So basically the Army, sorry, not the Army, I'm Army. The Marines gave you an opportunity and you saw it. And unlike a lot of people being I don't know, you was yo, let's go. I'm ready. I've been waiting, you know what I'm saying? And you just took down this monster deal. Wow. So
how would you say the life in the military has affected investing in real estate, so to say? Or how it will affect?
What did you say?
How
so especially right now, being a drill instructor, it's a little bit more time intensive, and there's kind of intermittent pockets of time off and stuff because of it's a little bit of a weird transitionary time. The virus and everything like that is treating everything a little bit weird. But yeah, I mean, it's there's a lot of uptime and then a little bit of downtime and then a lot of uptime and then a little bit of downtime. So it kind of doesn't even out, but if you take advantage of it, like it, and like you want just spend your intermittent time doing that, and like that in my opinion, you know, there's always time if you make time for it. So
Um, did you like go to anybody for advice or like told your parents about like what you're trying to do or your friends? Like what were their reactions like when you were trying to take down this deal?
yeah. Yeah, so at first I didn't really like I didn't tell much to my friends and stuff because I feel personally I'm kind of more of a person that like I wouldn't believe someone if they were just like talking about something, so why would someone believe me or like anything? So I kind of almost in a sense I wanted to get the first deal to be able to show my friends like, no, this works. This is what I'm doing. Here's the numbers. This is why it works. And then go from there. But on parents, yeah, I told my parents they're always supportive and everything, but they were just more like I was telling them like the prices of the houses out here, and they live in Ohio, so real estate is much cheaper out there, and they're just like, "What are you doing?" Like, so, but yeah, I mean, I was like, I was very confident in the process and the, you know, the numbers and everything. So I was like, yeah, and like, just but I'm more letting you know, not asking you guys. And yeah, like I said, they're super supportive and stuff, especially now that I have it. And I'm like,
Uh-huh.
look, I'm literally like living like, so.
Has your social media or your fame, so to say, changed since like you took down the deal? Because basically, how I saw it was I'm in a group, a mastermind group with David, and basically he had posted up in the group, and like it caught my eye, so I went down like I started searching it, trying to like see like what it is, and I immediately like look right. This guy is about to do big things, great things, and once people start finding out about it, they're about to go and say like, hey, we need you in the show, so I want to be the first to have you on. How has like just like what you have done affected your life and like the community and how people like look at you so far?
Yeah, so I definitely noticed. So like his videos like right away because I was telling him we had a meetup in the area while I was actually in escrow for this place, and he was like, "Yeah, man, like if you end up like closing on everything, let me know. Like I'd love to come check it out or whatever." And I closed on it and everything, and then that next meetup, I was like, "Hey, man, like you want to come over and check it out beforehand?" And so he came over, made a video, just kind of going over it on his page, kind of like the rundown of it and kind of how, you know, I saved up prior to that and stuff, and kind of like put myself in a good financial position to get it. But so I had I had a few people reach out to me from there, intermittently, some people off of Facebook and stuff, reach out to me and stuff. But for the most part, I mean, it's kind of like people, it's cool because it's like people in the situation I was in like 6 months ago. So it's like, hey, like, how do you get that first deal? What are you doing? You know, how are you running numbers and stuff? What are you like doing financially? So, you know, it's cool. Like I'll let them know and talk to them and stuff. Like if they have questions, I still have a couple that, uh, talking like super excited about it because that's really what I want to do. I'm like, look, man, like this is cool. This is what I'm doing. And you know, I'm very new in it, but I understand the power of saying this. So it's almost like I'm not trying to convince people, but I'm trying to like show them that like, look, if you want something out of like, if they're like, oh, like you know, I care about, I want to set myself, my family up for later on and stuff. I'm like, okay, I'm showing them how this, you know, modality can do that for them and stuff. And it's really cool. Like, and now because I have that first deal, and it is so big, it kind of like, I don't want to say like gives me a little more clout, but it definitely like gives me proof of concept in a lot of ways. So, yeah, that's kind of how it's affected me.
I definitely feel you on that one because here you may have like somebody who have been doing it for what, maybe like let's say 3 years, right? And their like property is probably like put together maybe worth like 600,000. Now you were sitting
Right.
on this goose egg that because of the market and the appreciation and actually using the VA loan the right way is gonna be like it's gonna explode. And I want to like even like touch on that a bit more. Using the VA loan the right way in an appreciated market can be a great wealth building tool because I'm not sure like what is the appreciation rate in where your metroplex is right now.
So that area is all of San Diego on average about 4.5% per year. But this year specifically has been because of how low because there's all factors in it, but basically like low supply, huge demand, low interest rates, the lack of construction being built, and just like so many things. This year, from last July to this July, has been 11% appreciation.
Wow.
So
let's say this
11% on $1.2 million is
exactly.
it's
So
hefty.
you
I think we know when we're gonna invest next.
yeah, so you
For
you
real.
basically found the goose egg in a perfect area and actually utilizing the VA loan the right way. And did you like go into any kind of real like negotiating with the price?
So sort of. So basically this property was because I'd been talking with my agent, talking to my lender, making offers on stuff. I made probably like 5 or 10 offers before this. But it was just kind of like, first of all, I didn't realize that I was going to be able to qualify for something like that, so it was kind of like out of my mind to begin with. But yeah, so I ended up like just seeing. I was like, okay, well, like the numbers of this. It was on the market for like a month and a half, which is like was unheard of for San Diego at this point because of how low supply was.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, well, and so like I said, the purchase price was, or their asking price was 1.231. And so we were like, well, it's been on the market for a while, so we're going to put in one for 1.2 even. And because we were like, close enough, like whatever, it's been on the market. And we got an email back like an hour later of like, yeah, either you put in what we're asking or we're not even, or we're just going to throw this offer away. I was like, what? So, so it turns out that, and there's a whole lot more to it going through escrow and everything, but pretty much the seller wasn't exactly the easiest to work with. I think was a lot of the issue of why it was on the market, and yeah, so I kind of like put up with it. I was like, well, the numbers still work at asking, so I put in an offer at asking, and like a half hour later, he like came back with like a counter of like, we can't really ask for any like thing to be fixed on the house because he just renovated the entire thing. And I was like, okay, well, if you just renovated it the right way, I'm not going to need to anyway. So yeah, just kind of put up with him for the month that we were in escrow and closed and everything totally fine. So,
If the numbers work, it works, yo. Exactly.
I'm pretty
yeah,
sure.
yeah, so it worked.
I'm pretty sure it's a big deal going into this kind of a huge amount of money for your first property, so to say. So was there somebody that was helping you throughout your whole process, like a mentor that you look up to?
Yeah, for sure. So I actually reached out to like on Bigger Pockets. I was kind of going out to people who looked like they were really active on the forums and stuff like that, and was just kind of reaching out to them and asking like, hey, like where do I start and stuff? Because this was like right when I like started getting a little more serious about buying something. And one guy, he is an agent in the area, and I just reached out to him and I was like, I have an agent at the moment, but like, are you willing to just kind of like teach me and like I just want to be around and like learn and stuff. And he's like, yeah, sure, man. Like would send me master classes and stuff that he'd been to and stuff, and like learned so much from this dude so quick. And I went out to look at a couple of properties with the other agent, and I ended up knowing about these properties than that agent did. So I was like, I don't think this is the right fit. And so I asked the guy that I would reach out on Bigger Pockets, and I was like, are you willing to help out? And he was so helpful, like throughout the entire process. We would like go to a property and he'd be like, no, like don't buy this. This is like, this doesn't work. And he would be like super honest with me, like super helpful, super responsive. Anytime I'd ask like these little stupid questions that a new person asked, and he'd call me, like help me out as much as possible, hook me up with lenders, inspectors, like his whole network of people that like just made the process so easy. And the lender he gave me, I've referred like multiple people to this lender because he was like, every time I would go to someone with like telling them about like what rate I got and was getting from him and stuff, they're like, how are you getting that? And it was kind of like, and I didn't really realize that like it wasn't like that easy. But yeah, these people like asked me that, and it was just kind of like confirm that I was like, okay, it sounds like he's getting me a pretty good rate. And I just like never really thought much more about it. But yeah, so my lender and my time, probably like two of the biggest like factors in me actually being able to close on something so quickly. But then, I mean, like the whole network of people. So, I'd go to meetups and stuff and master classes and stuff, and everyone they just want to help. So the whole network has honestly been great.
Okay.
I'm pretty sure. I mean, you're still young, so there's still more to learn. But was there like a point to where you first started and you said like, "Damn, I wish I did this before," or "I wish I could go back and tell myself, like, give myself some advice."
Yeah. So like obviously everyone always wishes they could have started earlier with real estate is kind of what I'm getting this. Um, but I think the biggest thing that I'm happy about that I did was setting myself up financially because like I got into it with a pretty substantial reserves for like being 20 some years old in the military, good credit score, no debt or anything like that, and I think all of those things kind of like are better. Like honestly, I think I wouldn't have changed it. Like I would have started reading about real estate earlier, but I think the putting myself in a financial position to do this right away without like any question, getting like the best rates, getting everything like that. I'm happy with where I'm at, and at this point, I'm ready to hit the ground running with it. So
Okay.
I'm pretty happy with where I'm at with it.
Um, what was one of the key things you learned throughout this whole process so far?
So honestly, one of the biggest things is you just have to like I had a podcast the other day of this dude who basically said he was like in analysis paralysis for like 5 years. And what I learned is like you just like if you read like two books, like the right two books or like listen to them on audio or whatever, reach out to like a good investing agent who I'm a firm believer that like the agent is probably like the central hub for all of the other things you're going to need. So, read a couple of books to understand like why it works and how it works. Practice how it works while you're talking to your agent, like looking at properties and stuff. And then just make offers. Like you can back out of any offer with the inspection. You don't like the way that the wind blows. Like it doesn't matter. But yeah, just start making offers. Like just do it. And I don't want to say like learn on like trial by fire with it. Like if you know enough to know that the numbers and the principles work, then just do it. And when something sticks, something will stick. And then deal with the other stuff along the way. That's why you reach out to people. That's why networking is so strong, because you can ask your friends the questions that you don't know the answers to. So
Hmm. Wow. So, when like for your next deal or your following deals, have you been thinking about going into any kind of partnerships or basically like know like what you can bring to the table, like pairing it with somebody else that you may be weak in the area that they're strong in?
so currently right are kind of like in the mastermind groups I'm in, stuff like kind of doing partnerships and things like that. And I would love to at some point. I just right now I don't feel as though it would be intelligent for me. I think what and what I've kind of thought for me is right now establish a very solid base of my own basically my own house hacks, own investments for a little bit, obtain a pretty like not huge but like a net worth more so than what I have right now, have practice in it before I would kind of put someone else's money on the line for it. So yeah, I think while I'm in San Diego for the next year and a half, 2 years, try and get at least like one or two more house hacks under my belt in the San Diego price point range. And then from there with debt pay down and stuff, I think that'll kind of put me in a very, like I said, put me in a very good position to kind of jumpstart very quickly the app.
Yep. Me and Shaq are constantly on the look for new books or new learning platforms. We want to like learn as much as possible on real estate investing. Do you have anything that you suggest or that you always listen to?
Yeah. So I think some of the best ones. So I'm huge on like Spotify, listening to podcasts,
Mhm.
to the House Hacking Success podcast, the House Hacking podcast, a lot of Bigger Pockets, the or the Millennial Real Estate Investor podcast, and all those like have been really really helpful in the process, especially because like so specifically I'm at this moment looking at house hacking. yeah, all of those were super helpful. You just all of the different perspectives, all of the options you have, and like different ideas and stuff. So yeah, any of the real estate podcasts on Spotify are probably where I would go first.
Okay. Okay. So you spoke about getting into a couple more house hacks, right? While you're still there in San Diego area, is there like a number of those you have set for yourself to like hit like this goal prior to leaving? Like, what's like if you can like put like a goal into like one statement or sentence, what would that be leaving San Diego?
Yeah, so my goal for San Diego by the time I leave is to have $2.5 million in real estate assets and $500,000 of equity. That is the goal.
That's pretty good right there. 1/6. That's yeah, that works. Or like one, no, sorry,
I
that's
need like two more. I need like two more.
Wow. Yeah, so
So yeah, if I can get that by the time I leave with the market, appreciation and things like that, I think it'll put me in a pretty good position for the next part.
sounds like it's your so is there anywhere people can reach out to you, whether it be social media, websites?
Yeah, I have an Instagram. It's at Koonsinator, KOONSINATOR. You can email or just Facebook, anything like that. I'll respond to you eventually. So
At Koons, you gotta like give us a brief history of how you came up with that name.
so it's been a thing for a while. My friend jailbroke my watch back in the day, and he changed my name in there to Koonsinator, and it just kind of stuck. I was like, it's a pretty solid name.
It is.
That was like 7th grade.
A while back. Wow.
But
Yeah, I have a lot of my accounts from like way back, so I understand.
hey, I like it.
So this is probably like all the questions that we had for you today. Is there anything else that you want to put out there?
Like any inspiration to anybody who
Yeah,
listening?
I'm a story. I just, like I said, I'm a very firm believer that real estate is powerful, and it is probably one of the most tried and true methods to set yourself up for success and financial a better financial path than a lot of other options. But there, talk to people, and do it.
Okay, cool. Well, yo, thank you so much for coming out with us today. You know what I'm saying? Thank you for giving us some of your time. I'm pretty sure like it's a busy world over there being a journal structure. I'm actually about to go be a regular instructor over there in Fort Sill, Oklahoma. I'm in Lawton. But yeah, so thank you so much for coming out.
Yeah, thank you.
From Trinidad and Albania to real estate, Shaq and Kelly brings you Smart Money Approach.